What are we doing today? I'm gonna tell you guys. The description we got for the day was Foo Dog your style. That's perfect. I know exactly what it is. We're doing a Foo Dog in my style. And I know my style because I made it up. So this is the image we're working on today. I already got the client approval, which was pretty expected when someone says your style. But there have been a lot of comments about hair texture. So that's what I want to spend time talking about today. This guy's got a really impressive beard and even a little mustache. So I'm gonna be going through how I'm gonna approach the hair in this piece, and then we'll show the final piece. Hopefully you guys enjoy. This episode is brought to you by TAE'TU. Stick around to the end of the video to see it in action. First things first, I'm going to be attacking these clouds here. They're very light. So the double line is going to be negative and the inside will be a light gray, and then we'll run right into the beard or the object that we're portraying, which will be dark. So I had implemented this into the design to break up some of the darkness and have nice layers. You guys saw me do this in the stencil video with the jester, just adding a few negative flow points to not only show the flow, but create some depth in the piece. So I'm just using an 08 3RL just to get a really nice little light gray in there, as you can see I'm doing over here. So we'll get through this and then we'll get into the hair. Cool, so we got the clouds in there, nice light look. It's gonna break this up. The beard's gonna be dark. Now you can see my stencil is a lot more simple than my design. All I did was I marked out the contour points, and the contours in the beard are made by the dark points. I always say follow the triangles when it comes to hair. Now you can see kind of got this tall triangle right here, and that's what I'm gonna do. The first thing I'm gonna attack are kind of our deep contour points in the beard. And this is going to show the direction of the hairs. And it's also going to show when the direction changes. Kind of like where I'm up here now, marking this dark part. So this is, kind of curving almost the opposite way the letter C would. And then it flips right here. So what's happening in the shadow point is flow change and directional change. There are many ways to do hair. This is just one way. We're not really in the photorealism realm, although it would be somewhat of a similar approach with this more illustrated, realistic look. I'm simplifying a little bit. So I'm gonna kind of walk you through a little patch of hair. So we got our dark contour in here. This is, kind of a tall triangle. That's what I mean by the triangles, split the hairs. We have another deep cut right here. So we'll get this one in. It's just like when we mark our blacks in other pieces. It's the same thing. And then by doing this one over here, I'm kind of closing off this area of hair. So we're gonna follow through with that. Because I have this light in front of it, as soon as I make the hair dark, it's gonna push it right back where I need it to be. So let me get this shaded in dark. So we have our dark parts in, now we have to create the hairs in between. So I'm just going to be feathering in kind of a guideline. I'm going to bring this hair all the way down, because the hairs are pretty much the same length, so they'll always come down. And then I'm going to shade from that line over my contour, my black line. By doing that, I've now created a dark hair, a mid-tone hair, and a highlight hair, right? That's essentially the pattern, and I'm just gonna do this over and over and over again until it looks like there's a bunch of hairs. I'm gonna be paying attention to my reference point, because now I can come on the other side of this hair. So you're just creating shades down, essentially in this shape of hair. And every time you create a new shade, it almost looks like a new hair. So now even if I come down the original line and just make it a little bit darker in between the highlight and the midtone, now it looks like there's another hair. You know, and I can define them more if I want. I can bring in a black. I'm gonna run it up against my contour line to just make that a little darker, make sure it stays prominent. So I have my dark sections, cool. I know this is pretty much gonna be black. It's also really gonna help me define my negative space, cloud. And then maybe I'll go into the 50%. I'm just gonna kind of create a little hair. And then I'm gonna shade over them to just push the negative space hair forward. And then I'm gonna go just over this one in the black. Now I have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna go over the whole thing again just to build up the values a little. A lot of you see me, it almost looks like I'm shading in a line. Like when I'm doing this, I'm just kind of like feathering a line in. This technique I really use all the time in hair. So it shows the direction. You know, and a lot of times I'm flicking like off something, which is kind of cool because it almost like fades it. But by doing that, it creates the texture of hair. And then you just have to decide what parts of it you want forward and back. Obviously, the parts you want to kind of stay back, you make them darker. The parts you want to jump forward, you make lighter. And then once you kind of have the structure in, you come back to your original base, kind of separating the sections. I'm going to make sure that this section is nice and dark. You know, sometimes you might have to come back in just to define some of the strands or the cutoff points a little bit more if you want kind of a sharper look. I don't like the hair to be too loose. I think when you keep it nice and sharp, it looks intentional, which kind of looks a little bit more impressive. And it's even good to have some sharpness in your shadows, so it doesn't look like you rush your shadows. You know, like sometimes maybe you just make the whole thing black, it looks a little lazy. And then because this kind of is in the setback, and I also want to create a nice dividing line with my negative clouds, I won't be leaving anything skin tone, so I will be going over the whole thing, even the lighter areas. Not to make it too dark, but just to not have skin tone and to separate it from my clouds. And that's it. Sometimes hair can be intimidating. I get it. I've messed up a lot of hair textures in the past. Learned a lot of what not to do. So I just start with small sections like this. It becomes way more manageable. You start with your darks, your contour lines. You start filling in some details in more the mid-tone areas, the lighter areas. And then you just build up the value of the whole thing until it's in an area or a tone that you're satisfied with. You just want to make sure that if you're shading over the whole thing like I'm doing now, you don't blur it out too much. You still want to be able to see all the work you did on the details in there. Pay attention to the bend of the hair. You know, this one bends this way a little bit. So on the ends, I'll have it be a little bit darker, so that in the actual bend itself, it's a little lighter, so it kind of looks like it's popping out of the... Cool, we got some hair texture in there. Now I'm going to continue this through the rest of the beard. are done. Coming to the end of the day on this one. You guys will get to see not only the final product, but the final product of the hair that we were showing earlier. Finding the triangles, keeping the flow. Another session on this sleeve down with some good flow point, not only from the negative clouds, but you know, the hair, the direction of the face. Just gotta wrap him up. Always love trying new products. Today we're gonna try the TAE'TU wrap. Let's get this bad boy open. Ooh, that comes off nice. This is pretty thin, which I kind of like. Makes it easy to put it on flat. Ooh, this feels good. I love when you get to try products and they're actually good. I feel like everyone makes a derm product now. And I'm always a little hesitant to try new ones. But I really like how thin this one is. Sometimes when it's thicker, I can feel it crease when I'm trying to put it on, which makes the little bumps and stuff. I think this is a gloss finish. But the finish, that looks good. How's that feeling? Comfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Can you bend? Nice. You're good to go. Let's take some pictures and videos. You guys can check it out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed some insight onto how I do texture with an illustrated piece. Let me know if you guys thought this was helpful or if it's something that you struggle with. I know it was so hard for me to get hair in the beginning, and we found a lot of tips to just make it a lot easier now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that and enjoyed the tattoo. Don't forget to check out some of our other videos, wherever they are. See you next time.